I think we're connected. Are we connected?
Yeah. Hello, John.
Hi.
How
So
are you?
where are you?
I'm in Portugal.
Oh my God. I went to a bullfight in Portugal once.
Really?
Yes, we were filming White Nights, and Taylor Hackford, director, took us all to the bullfights where they don't kill the bull. And I sat right next to Baryshnikov. Aha.
Really?
Misha.
Wow.
Yeah. I
That's a
still
great
didn't like
story.
it too much, though. It seemed cruel. You know, there are all those sites now on the Instagram, you know, about animals' manner and everything. I
Yeah.
just thought that, oh, to be chosen, that poor bull. But at least they didn't get killed, but they still stuck a lot of stuff in it. Yeah. Anyway, well, let's not talk about that.
That's a great story to start the chat.
Okay, good, good.
Um, Before we start, let me ask you, how are things there in LA right now?
There, well, I'm on top of a mountain where I live, so I'm in day 11 of my staycation, as I'm calling it. So I'm here alone, but I can hike every day, but the mountain is on the way to nowhere. So it's only people who live up here who are here. So we can walk in the streets and we hike. A lot of people who live up here hike. Some people on weekends come up here to hike with their families. A lot of kids now and getting off. You know, everybody's trying to release the tension. But this morning, a good friend of mine, a wonderful playwright named Terrence McNally, died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
From the virus. He was 81 years old, and he and his husband Tom Kerdahy, who produced recently his shows, went down to Sarasota, Florida, where they lived, to get out of New York, to get away from the center of the virus, and he had the virus. So it's so that's why I just like to tell everybody that's listening to please go home and stay home so we can help stop this spread. You know, people say, what can I do? What can I do? Go home and stay there and don't be around other people. The thing about this sneaky monster virus is that it's sneaky. So nobody knows if they have it, and it's a waiting game, and everybody's very tense. And our people at the top here, the way at the top, have not been very good about it. But I don't want to talk about that today with them.
Yeah, but I think it's important for people to know.
Well, it is, and we messed up this country because of our leader.
Yes, I think nobody was ready, but
well, this guy won't take any responsibility for anything.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Anyway,
yeah.
That's enough said. We all get the picture. I think the whole world knows what we're dealing with over here.
Yes.
Unfortunate.
It seems like the worst kind of epidemic of our time.
But let me tell you a little bit about what Terrence was. I mean,
yeah.
He started out. He was when he was very, very young. He was Edward Albee's a lover, and he wrote a play called, I think, Things Go Bump in the Night. And it was a huge failure, and everybody said, "Oh, what? It's Albee's boyfriend." No, but he went on, and he became an amazing playwright, who with his humor and with his sense of kindness and generosity, he could make an audience, by laughing, understand people that they didn't understand before. I did about 5 of his plays, and I don't face things lightly. I mean, I'm a chicken, actually. When things get too hard, I just sort of close down and disappear.
Right.
And I did that personally with him for a lot of things, and he would always call me on it. He's generous, but when he'd call me on it, I'd realize that I was at fault, and I would cop responsibility. I'd say, yes, you're right, and he would forgive me. At one point, there was a play he wrote called Lisbon Traviata, about an opera queen who loved Maria Callas.
Right.
He loved Maria Callas. So and when this was first done, Nathan Lane played this part that Terrence offered me. And I had never seen it. I just knew that it was a huge success for Nathan. And he called me at home, Terrence did, to offer me the part. I went right to the bookstore. I found the play. I saw that it was about a man who loved Maria Callas. But in this play, the character spoke Italian. He sang some. He knew all about Maria Callas. And for 2 weeks, I thought, I don't know what to do. So I didn't call him. And after 2 weeks, he called me up. And he was so angry at me. He said, John, I can't believe how rude you were. I called you at home to offer you this job, and I haven't heard from you. It's been 2 weeks. And so I copped. I said, okay. So, Terrence, it was a play that and I explained about Nathan and how he'd had such a great success and how I couldn't speak Italian. I can't sing. I sing off key. I don't know anything about Callas. And there was this long pause, and he said, well, John, isn't it the things that you're afraid of that you're supposed to attack and go on with? So right then and there, I said, okay, I'll do it. And I spent, this was about a month and a half before rehearsal started. And I had a love affair with Maria Callas. I read every book there was to read about her. I listened to her constantly. I fell in love with her. And I had one of the biggest successes of my career doing this part. So I mean,
did you love opera before that?
What?
Did you love opera before doing that role?
No. I mean, I was intimidated by it. I didn't know what they were saying when they sang. I do, but but he changed me, and then I got to change people. When they, I mean, it was this long circle, and to find out today that he and his husband Tom went down to Sarasota, Florida, to get away from the center of the virus in New York.
Oh.
And so it got him down there. But the thing about this monster virus is, it's so sneaky, so nobody knows when and how you get it. Okay, now we've done that. So,
okay.
But just to tell you, I mean, Terrence was an amazing playwright.
He did seem like it, yeah. I remember hearing about him. I don't think I ever saw a play of his, but I remember reading about him.
Yeah, he was amazing. Just amazing. And he changed people's attitudes about things that they thought were bad or wrong or what. But he showed he had it was humor. He was one of the funniest men alive. But with humor, he made people see the truth.
Right.
The truth about human beings. How we're basically good people.
Right.
God bless.
That's great. So John, you were born in Kingston, New York?
I was during the war. My dad worked for Hercules. They made ammunition, so he was a foreman there.
Oh, really?
And it was in August, and I was born because of corn. Actually, because up in Kingston it was August, early August, so all the corn was just being sold at roadside stands. And I'm told, my parents told me that they got a dozen ears of corn, and they split it all. My mom ate 6 and my dad ate 6. And I guess very, very early in the morning, she started vomiting because she'd eaten too much too fast, which I guess sort of shook my insides up. So that's why I was born, because it's 6 half dozen ears of corn.
Really?
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, was your household open to the arts or not?
Well, my dad was a traveling salesman. He sold TV sets. So I guess, but it was at the beginning of TV sets. So when I was a little boy, I didn't live in Kingston, New York ever. We moved down to Wilmington, Delaware, where my dad was from. And so I had the first TV set on the block. So it was when it's Howdy Doody time was on. So I had about 20 of my best friends in the living room watching Howdy Doody show. When my dad would get home from work, he'd have to step all over the kids. So, but then as everybody got their TV set, I kind of lost all my friends. They all
Oh, wow.
disappeared. So I became friendless.
But do you remember you only watch Howdy Doody, or did you had another show
Well,
that
that's
you?
what I remember. I was not yet in, I guess I was in first or second grade. But
Mhm.
Howdy Doody is what I remember. But I do remember that when Mary Martin and Ethel Merman, they did a little 15-minute show that was on the television. It was past my bedtime, but I remember that my father let me stay up late. It was probably 8 o'clock or something to watch it. So,
Right.
yeah, I guess that they were the ones that got me hooked on the theater.
Oh,
Yeah.
so was that the trigger for you to follow this path?
I guess it's one of my earliest memories that I got to stay up to watch Mary Martin and Ethel Merman do their little 15-minute show.
Right.
It changed my life. The other thing that changed my life was when a babysitter took me to see Calamity Jane with Doris Day.
Wow.
Yeah, that I was terrified. I still am terrified. I'm a terrified adult child right now, but I was always afraid of things. But then
Most actors are, aren't they?
I don't know. Most of the ones I know seem to hide it very well, but I don't know. Maybe they think I'm fearless too. But when I work, I feel fearless. It's when I'm me that I have the trouble. I
Yeah,
think that's
I
true
think
of a lot of
most
actors.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. They've found a way to escape. We have found a way to escape into other people where it's safer because it's not us.
Yeah, I was actually reading a book. I still am about Robin
Slow
Williams.
reader. Oh, yes, Robin Williams.
Robin was great, and
He was
and
a
the
genius.
book talked about that he couldn't live like himself, so he was always hiding
Mhm.
in every role or taking every opportunity to do some kind of voice or stage show to hide who he was.
What was the documentary about him recently? There's one scene very early in the beginning where you see he and his mother messing
Hmm.
around. You can see where he got it all from his
Yeah,
mom. Yeah, he
he
was a giant. Yeah.
he was a giant. Yeah, what a
Yep.
loss.
Yep. What a loss.
Yeah. So, did you find yourself imitating the people you saw on screen, like in your room or
I would
like?
sing along the musicals. See, I love the musicals, the musical shows, because my mother got she got an album a week or a month. I don't know, some of that. They were all show tunes. Um, and so I'd sing along with them. But I sing off key, but I don't sing a lot in musicals. I was in a musical though. I've been in some musicals.
Which one was it?
Well, I did a Hans Christian Andersen that Martha Clark did, so I got to sing all those songs
Mm-hmm.
where they were fun songs. Danny Kaye did it originally. The movie,
Oh,
I'm Hans Christian Andersen, and I've got a tale to tell. But whenever I have to sing harmony, that's when it's really bad. Or hard or off because I don't know where I am. Yeah, I'm intimidated. I flinch is what happens. I flinch.
I
Um,
forgot to ask you if you were an only child or you have
oh yeah,
brothers.
I'm an only child, so I'm
Oh.
spoiled rotten. I always get my way or think I can get my way.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
only childs usually are more creative. They have to find ways to get creative because they are alone, right?
Oh yeah, I played alone a lot. I remember there were these curtains that I put up in my door, like you see in the movies where the beads are, but
Mm-hmm.
but um, but there was about a foot or two, and I somehow made them poison curtains, and I knew that if I had to crawl under them to get into my room, and that if I touched them, I would die. That was one game I remember playing when I was little. Yeah, it's amazing the little things we remember and the things we don't remember. Yeah.
But did you ever do plays or some kind
Sibylla
of
Appleby, this was later when I moved to Salisbury, Maryland, where I grew up. Sibylla Appleby and I used to put on plays for nobody down in my cellar in the basement.
oh
No, nobody came to see them. We just put them on. I mean, we played, it was when Rosemary Clooney sang This Old House. So I sort of wrote a play about that, and we played that record because I loved Rosemary Clooney. Actually, Rosemary, when I won a Tony once, and when I got home, I had met Rosemary Clooney through Michael Feinstein. And when I got home, there was a message on my machine, and it was this voice that sounded a lot like her, singing, "You're the top, you're the Tower of Pisa, you're the top, you're the Mona Lisa. Congratulations, John. It's Rosemary Clooney. Bye." Yeah. But it was before we could save all that, so I don't have it anymore. You know.
Oh,
If it were now, I would, if I could.
What age were you when you did that?
Love, Valor, Compassion?
Yeah,
That was what I was 50.
Okay.
I was a very young 50-year-old.
Okay. No, but the other play that you mentioned that you did with a friend?
Oh, Sibylla Appleby?
Yeah.
What about it?
What age were you then?
I was probably maybe 9 or 10. We were in elementary school. Yeah.
Did you know by
what?
then that you wanted to be an actor?
No.
Oh,
I
fine.
just liked it all. In fact, in high school, when they had the future, you know, the FTEAs, the future teachers, the future doctors, you know, they'd come. So I did hotel management. I have no idea why. I guess because I loved staying in the motels when we drove down to see my grandmother and stuff. So I thought that was really fabulous. Yeah, but so I didn't go into hotel management. But I figured what I would do would be to be the English teacher who also did the drama and would direct the plays. Because
right.
I was in high school plays. Finally,
Because the teacher in a way has to win the public that is watching the class, right?
Well, but then I was terrified of being, so I went to a teacher's college, Towson State Teachers College in Baltimore, Maryland, when I thought that that's what I was going to be. But the thought of standing up in front of a classroom and teaching them terrified me worse than I think anything else, because I was not a very good student ever. I did my homework in front of a TV set, and my parents let me. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't a little, well, because I was an only child. I guess I had more power than I thought I had with my parents. But anyway, so, but my mother grew up near, in Southwest Virginia, a little town called Pulaski, Virginia. And very near that was a town called Abingdon, Virginia, which is on the border of Virginia and Tennessee. And there was a theater there called the Barter Theater, started by a man named Robert Porterfield. Porterfield. It was started during the Depression. Bob Porterfield was an actor in New York there, and nobody had jobs. It was horrible. But he said, listen, there's a place down where I come from in Virginia, and they have a place we could do a theater there and go down and work. And they said, but Bob, they don't have any money down there either. And he said, yeah, but they're farmers and they grow chickens and things, so they could barter their way into the theater. And then we could eat, and they could get to see the plays for bringing a chicken or a dozen eggs or a ham. So that's how the Barter Theater started. So my mother, my freshman year in college, when I was kind of thinking, I don't think this teaching thing is going to work out, she said, listen, John, they have this apprentice program. And I went down there, I drove down there, and I got to an application. You have to have 2 letters of recommendation, and you can go there and be an apprentice. So for the 3 summers in my college career, I went down to the Barter Theater and was an apprentice where I didn't get any money. I had to pay room and board. But the first summer I was there, they were doing a play called Look Homeward Angel about Thomas Wolfe. the
Right.
writer, and they gave me the lead.
Wow.
I mean, I'd done 4 plays, I think, 2 in high school and 2 that freshman year of college. And I did the lead with actors from New York. And I thought, wow. Because I didn't know enough to be afraid, I think. So I just did it. And then I went back every summer and I thought, wait a minute, I'm working with these actors who are professional actors, and I seem to be holding my own against them or with them. So why couldn't I do that? So
So
I
when
called
you
my
started,
father.
just
What?
interrupt you for a second. When you started doing that play, where you were the lead,
Yeah.
were you ever scared or
No,
did nerves?
no,
Nothing.
no, I just did it.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know enough to be scared, I don't think. Anyway, so, but I called my dad and I said, listen, I think I should be an actor now and not a teacher. But you'd have to, and the school was, you didn't have to pay anything if you were going to be a teacher, because they wanted more teachers. So he had to pay the tuition to get in, which was $150 a semester at that point. So that was $300 for each year of my college education. So he paid it, but that was before you had to go broke to go to college.
Oh,
But
yeah.
anyway, oh, the times, they are changing.
True.
Yeah.
But how did
And then
your
I graduated, and went to New York. Between the time of our last exam and the graduation, there were about 3 or 4 days. So I took a bus to New York, and in those 3 or 4 days, I was going to find an apartment to live and get a job, which I did neither of. And then I then I went back after I graduated and lived in boarding houses, and because of somebody I knew from the Barter Theater, they worked for the National Theater Company, and they gave me a job in the office where they paid me money. And this was the years that zip codes came out, that people started having zip codes. So they gave me their entire mailing list of every city that they played in America. And there was a little paperback book, and I went in every day, and for weeks I looked up what their zip code was and wrote it on the little card that they sent out to people. It was one of the worst jobs I'd ever had. Actually, it was the first job I ever had. But I was working in the theater, sort of.
right?
And they would let me go on any audition. If an audition came up, they understood that I had to go, and so they let me go. So it was actually a great job, and I met some really nice people. So that was my first job.
So, but did your dad accept well your path, or
When he did, I was in New York for a while, and I don't know if there was a show called You Are There that Walter Cronkite would announce, and it was different things that were, I saw it when I was a kid. So they redid it then. And I got a job. I was a Pony Express rider that broke a record or something, or did something fabulous. And it was on the TV on Saturday, which is when my dad played golf. And
right?
after the golf game, that he would go into the bar, sit with his buddies and talk about, what they missed and what they didn't miss and how little. And anyway, but he saw me with his buddies on the TV. So that's when he said, okay, you're an actor now, when I was on the TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your mother, how did you react?
Oh, same way. She was a better golfer than my dad, actually.
Wow.
And they thought I would be a golfer. So one day they took me out on the golf course to caddy. This was before there were carts, and you rolled the little carts around. So they all teed off. Everybody teed off. And then we start walking toward the ball. And as we got about maybe 20 feet from the ball, where I saw my parents' balls on the ground, I ran over to them, picked them up, and brought them back to them to hand them their balls. And I will never forget the look on their faces as they were so disappointed in me. It was a look of total kind of, oh my God, who is our son? What has he done? So I've never been comfortable on a golf course after that. Never, ever. Yeah, yeah.
I
But
remember.
my mother had 2 holes in one, or 2 hole-in-ones, which is the plural, holes or one. Anyway, she had 2 of them. Yeah, she was an amazing athlete. My dad was a great athlete too. I was not
Yeah.
interested. When I first went to a psychiatrist, she asked, it was a woman, and she said, "What is the first image you have of your father?" And I thought for a minute. I said, I'm holding a bat behind sort of my shoulders, and my dad is throwing balls at me to hit. That's the, and I got pretty good at it, but it didn't interest me.
Of course.
Yeah, but they were still proud of me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because so many actors don't get to have the parents' approval.
You know, I'm a very lucky guy. My friend Jane Cronin, who was the leading lady down at the bar, she used to say to me, "Glover, you've been blessed.
Yeah,
You've been
true.
blessed." Yeah, and I guess I have. Yep.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that your mother got to see you act live on a play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would come to see me in the plays.
Did
Sure.
your dad get to see you
Oh,
too?
they both did. No, they both did. Yeah. They were very supportive. Very. Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
So, where did your path took off next after that?
After what? Where?
After that play and going to that theater?
Oh, the barter? Well, I
Yeah.
finally started getting, I didn't really, some little things like extras or crowd people in some plays. But then it was a time in the United States when regional theaters were taking off, and every cities would create a regional theater where they were doing plays. So I went and worked at regional theaters. I worked in Oklahoma City. I worked in at names go from my head. Buffalo. I'll go home and get my panties. You'll go home and get your scanties, and away we'll go. Off we're going to shuffle off to Buffalo. I did the knack there. At Springfield, Massachusetts, the Long Wharf Theater in New Haven, Hartford Stage Company, but with wonderful people. I mean, I played Long Day's Journey Tonight with Teresa Wright and this wonderful actor named Bob Pastine. I went later in London to see a production of Long Day's Journey into Night with Olivier, and it was like he was doing an imitation of Bob Pastine. Bob Pastine was a brilliant actor. He started out in New York, and I guess the pressure was too much for him, but he moved up to Minneapolis and worked at the Guthrie Theater for many, many years. But I played at the Long Wharf with Geraldine Fitzgerald and Juno and the Paycock. I mean, wonderful people I would play with. I did a production at the Mark Taper Forum of Juno and the Paycock with Maureen Stapleton, Walter Matthau, and Jack Lemmon. I'm telling you, opening night was amazing. Jack Benny came. Rosalind Russell was there. I mean, at one point, it was so crowded at the party afterwards. There was sort of a path. I was trying to get through the path, and there was this little short guy standing in front of me, and I sort of took him by the shoulders and kind of easily moved him out of my way. And the guy turned around and looked up at me, and it was Gene Kelly. I felt so ashamed of myself. But there was Gene Kelly in my midst that I'd sort of moved out of my way. Jesus. You see, I'm an only child. I needed to get there. Oh, why am I telling you these embarrassing things about myself?
But these are great stories.
Well, for you maybe, but I mean, what do they tell about me? Oh my God. All right.
But how was it working with Jack and Walter?
Well, they were wonderful. And but they didn't understand the play as much as it's a tricky play because it's about the structure of the Irish family and Geraldine Fitzgerald and the guy who played the Paycock was Joe Mahar. They were both a brilliant actor. They were both Irish. so they understood the kind of the structure of that Irish family. But Walter and Jack and Maureen, even though Maureen was of Irish descent, they didn't understand that. So, and George Seaton, who's a movie director, who was directing it, and I think they thought it was a kind of a funny play, and they'd have a grand time doing it. But it's about a time when there's trouble and strife in Ireland, and so when they came to the end, when the play was supposed to land, they didn't know how to do the structuring. So
Mm-hmm.
it was nobody's fault, and I had just been in a production that was really, really good of it, and I was I had turned 30, so I was a 30-year-old actor from New York, and I knew that I didn't know how to help, and if I say something, I was just this kid that thought he knew everything, so I didn't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's, we learn things, don't we? Yeah.
I don't think they ever did anything that wasn't a comedy, Walter and Jack.
Oh, Jack did. The one about the one where they're in the making the where the it was Jane Fonda was in it. She was the reporter, and they in the place where they made the atomic energy, it was all gonna bust and fall apart. It was a terrifying movie. I can't remember the name.
Oh, okay. And I think
Names
they did
and names.
JFK
They're the
as well.
first to go. What?
I think they did JFK as well. I remember.
Yeah, they did stuff good, really serious stuff, especially Maureen. They were comedians though too.
Yeah.
They could do everything, but
They
actors need help sometimes too.
Yeah. So after that, what year was this when you worked with them?
I was 30. It was in the 70s. It was like 74, 75, around in the earliest 70s.
So by then, did you start to work on TV as well?
I did an episode of Kojak while I was out there.
Yeah. Because I remember
LA wasn't ready for me then. That didn't happen until the 90s. I went out to LA to why did I go out to LA? I went out to make a I can't remember.
No.
But in the 90s, when I went out to LA, I had done a TV movie called An Early Frost, and then I had John Frankenheimer. I had made White Nights, that Taylor Hackford. When we went to what's her face, Portugal. What's her face? Lisbon. I'm sorry.
No
I'm
problem.
75 now. It's the names and knees that seem to go the first. But anyway, I could tell in the 90s that LA was ready to hire me. But then that was a terrible, it was actually a bit of a downfall for me, because I got addicted to making money. Because I would, as more I did, my salary would go up. And then for some reason, I started not enjoying the work anymore, and I was always I never had
from the theater.
What
was it taking
I'm sorry,
you away?
what?
Was it taking you away from the theater?
No, what I realized after I found a teacher that I knew I needed to go to, he made me realize that I had shut down. He said, "You've shut down shop." And what happened was that I just focused on the money I was making, and I didn't do the work that I used to do to prepare. Like all that stuff I just said about, the Juno and the Paycock, that
Right.
they didn't know how to do the work, they were, anyway, but I just stopped. I became a little greedy about it, and didn't do the work. So when a director would tell me something, I would feel very defensive about it and get snarky. And it was like I needed to get jobs, when I got the job, I wasn't happy doing the work. But I found this amazing teacher that I knew about because a lot of my friends studied with this man. His name was Milton Katselas.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a genius. He was a director, and then he started teaching. But he was also a Scientologist. So a lot of people stayed clear of him, and there were all kinds of rumors that if you studied with Milton Katselas, you were a Scientologist. And
Right.
so a lot of people started thinking I was a Scientologist. They wouldn't ask me, but you know. But anyway, I was lucky enough to study with Milton, and he became an incredible friend. And I studied with him for about 7 or 8 years, and then he died. It was horrible. Yeah.
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 But did after you?
But he taught me how to love my work again. So
Oh.
he brought me back to life. So I'm indebted to him, to Milton. He was another genius that I was thrown
So
in.
that
It's the
took you
power
back.
of there's a thing that I think is what God is, I think, is the power of the universe. The what we all as human beings create on the earth, that and if you can get in tune with it, then you're well, you just try and get in tune with it. So, and sometimes right now we seem to be out of tune, but this is going to bring us back in tune, I think. I hope.
So that took you back to the theater, or did you just continue to do
It took
work
me back
out
to everything. It
to
took me
everything?
back to acting, everything. I've done the TV, I've done the radio, I've done the movies, and I've done the stage, and I love them all. It's harder now for the movies because my memory's not as good as it used to be, and it takes me longer to learn the lines, and it's also quick, especially the television. You know, it's a bada bing, bada
It's
boom.
hard when you're not inspired to do the work, or where.
Well, it's not time on the television. There's not time. So you see, with the play, you get 3, 4, at least 3 weeks of rehearsal. So there's time to learn it in that. But sometimes with the television, you get a script the day before you shoot something and have to know it. So it gets tricky.
So it
So
got, it got
they're
to
my
the
little
point.
fears, huh?
It got to the point before you met Milton that you were starting to hate what you loved.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
Or dread, maybe dread.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So before that, we used to see you in all kinds of shows like Miami Vice, Murder She Wrote,
Right.
with the incredible Angela Lansbury. Do you have a story about her?
Well, I love Angela Lansbury. When I was still in college in Baltimore, MAME with Angela Lansbury was out of town opening in Philadelphia. And a friend of mine and I drove, he had a car. So I got tickets to a preview. And I went to school with somebody who knew one of the dancers in the show. So he said, go backstage after. He said, to say hello to my friend. Ross Miles, his name was. So I did that. And he said, oh, tonight's our photo shoot. So why don't you just stick around? You know, if you can have a sandwich and everything. And so I watched the photo shoot, and I saw, and after I'd seen Angela Lansbury, who I knew from that movie, the Frankenheimer movie, you know, where with Lawrence Harvey. Names and knees, man, I can't remember. Anyway, but I watched her at the photo call deal with all the other actors in the play, the chorus people. I think 1 or 2 of her sons was there at that point, and I watched this lady be so gracious and generous to everybody. So she became she set a bar for me about what people in the theater should be. And I mean, I'd see her sometimes when I went back to, when I moved to New York, when MAME was playing, I would see her walking to work when the crosstown bus was, and I'd get so thrilled whenever I'd see her. And then when I got to LA and was doing some of these movies and things, they called me one day and said that they've offered you a Murder, She Wrote. And I said, oh my God, great. I get to work with her. And they said, John, we don't want you to do this television. I said, what do you mean? Not do this television? They said, it's television and you're doing movies now. I said, well, wait a minute. I'm going to work with Angela Lansbury. I'm not going to turn that down. So I did it. And then about a year later, they offered me another one. So they didn't even ask to ask that time. So they just knew I was going to do that because I got to work with Angela Lansbury. And just recently, they did the Roundabout Theater. You know, I get the Roundabout and Manhattan Theater Club mixed up. But they did a fundraiser for their education program of the importance of being earnest, where she was doing Lady Bracknell. And they asked me to do Dr. Chasuble. And so, I got a chance to work with her again. And she's in her 90s now.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah, she's amazing. She is one of the best, most wonderful people in the whole wide world. I sent her flowers for Valentine's Day this year. I love you.
It's interesting that when actors start, at least in the theater or even TV or movies, they either find mentors or they have some kind of horror stories about the people they meet, or they are jealous.
I know what you mean, and I've been very, very lucky that I worked with great, wonderful, generous people. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they welcome you with open arms when you entered that world?
What world?
The theater.
Oh, theater people are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, with Terrence just dying this morning, I mean, one of the stage managers sent everybody a group kind of text. So I've spent the afternoon kind of texting and chatting with all the guys. You know, when you do a play, you form a family. The cast becomes a family together. I mean, the theater is a collaborative art, so you work with people, you support other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you feel the same way on TV or movies? Were they as receptive?
Well, but there's not the time, because you don't always work with all the people all the time. With the play, everybody's there all the time. But films, I mean, you do form a kind of a company. I mean, like I spent 7 years on Smallville, and we became that, but it's not the same. It's a different feeling. It's a wonderful feeling too, but it's not the same.
It's different, right?
Yeah, it's different.
So at this time, you did some classic movies that are still playing to this day, like Gremlins 2.
I think there should be a Gremlins 3 where Clamp is now the president, and he hires as his cabinet all the little creatures and monsters.
I heard they were doing it.
What?
I've heard they were doing a Gremlins 3.
Oh, well, call Joe Dante then.
Well, was he a great director to work with?
Joe, yeah, he was fun. I tried to be him. I remember there was at one point I thought, I need some toys on my desk. So he said, oh, Joe's got a lot of toys on his desk. So he sent his assistant over and brought back all the toys. Yeah. But my favorite scene in Gremlins 2 was when I put the guy down the paper shredder. That was my favorite. Yeah.
Was it hard to work with the monsters?
No, it was fun to work with the monsters.
Yeah.
There were about 8 puppeteers for those monsters. But except when the monster came and attacked me, I had to, I was the puppeteer and me. So I had to be him. That was very hard for me. Those puppeteers were so talented and about what they did. They were true artists. While they had one guy who would work the eyebrows and one guy who would work the eyes, and I mean, and they were magic because they were real then. I guess if they did it now, it would all be that
CGI.
Whatever they call it. Yeah. What do they call it? See what?
CGI.
DGI?
Yeah.
Oh, CGI.
CGI.
Yeah. This is the trouble I have with computers too. I kind of panic around them.
Right. So you did another one, which was Scrooged, which is
Scrooge.
another.
Well, it's a Christmas movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
so a lot of people see it every Christmas.
every year.
Bill Murray was wonderful. He's one of the most generous actors I've worked with.
Is he?
Well, yeah, yeah, and he's a lot of fun in his way because he's strange, but he's wonderful. I remember there was this one scene where they had two sound stages stuck together, and I had to walk him across this sound stage, and I didn't have any lines. And he said, "Well, you can think of something." And I thought of something, and he said, "You know, that's so cliche." So I went into my little. Then we broke for lunch. So I thought, I don't know what to say, and I can't remember what the line was, but it was right before the elevator's doors close.
Right.
I said it to him. I could look at the movie, I guess.
Yeah. And I watch it every year, but I don't remember.
Well, you can. Next time we talk, you can tell me what the line is.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I'll let you know. But that's such a great role. The one from Gremlins and that from Scrooge. I think it's really a role that got in people's minds that they never forgot it. But I have a lot of people here that will kill me if I don't talk about Smallville, because they love Smallville, and so do I. How did you get the role for?
I think somebody dropped out. My agent called me I think the day before, or on a Thursday or I can't remember, but somebody dropped out, so they had to take that role. He said it's just one scene. It's right at the beginning, and they might have you back for a couple of other episodes. Right. So I said sure. So I remember I went up and shot it, and then they did ask me to do some other episodes, but I wasn't always available because I was doing plays, so I was unavailable. But I don't remember how many episodes I was in that first season. But the second season, they offered me a contract, so I took that contract.
Yeah, I think you were in maybe 3 or 4 episodes. I don't remember.
I don't.
But
either.
You weren't the full season on the one. No.
And then I started. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were incredible from the get-go, and
I had a wonderful time doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what I found was, because I was studying with Milton at that point, I started adding love as an ingredient, love for Lex. So several people during that time would stop me on the street and say, "Listen, we love you in Smallville, but we can't figure out, are you supposed to be a good guy or a bad guy?"
He was the most unpredictable villain ever.
Well, I made it a human being instead of just, attacking it like he was a bad man. So I made a human out of him. I was quite proud of that. It was one of the best.
Do you think, in your opinion, do you think, in your opinion, when we see the pilots, before Lex has the accident and loses his hair, do you think Lionel loved him then? You think that the accident changed the meteorites?
I don't know. I mean, I could say now, all I knew was I didn't know what I was doing, because I knew somebody dropped out. So, right. And we were in this helicopter, and I was reading a newspaper. I don't remember even if I said that much. I can't remember. That's so long ago now. It
was just a little bit, and then he finds him in the middle of the cornfield.
In the cornfield, yeah.
Right. And
I remember looking at him aghast, like probably like my parents looked at me when I brought them back the golf balls. That's what I equate that look to. Yeah.
It kind of changed from love
to disappointment. It was disappointment.
Yeah.
And then I spent the next 7 years trying to give him a backbone. That's why I gave him shock treatment, to make him a stronger man.
That was a brilliant episode. It was one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, I did too.
Both were brilliant in that. Yeah. That one, and I think the one where you and Tom switched.
Oh, switch. Yeah, that's everybody's favorite. That was very hard for me to do. You see,
Yeah.
because I like to do little bits of business and be quirky and stuff. But Tom just sort of was just like a Gary Cooper kind of leading man, that he didn't do much. He
Right.
didn't have to do much. It was very hard for me not to do anything. I wanted to sort of give him quirks and stuff, but Tom, Tom didn't do that. So,
But
he
you
had
got
all my shit
it. I
down.
think the
I beg
look,
your pardon.
the
What?
innocent look, you caught the innocent look that he had
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
you were in
He's a,
prison.
Tom's a dad now.
Yeah.
He's got a son who just turned a year. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. And I think he also caught some of your quirks, like the walk,
Yeah.
the way you put
And
your
there's
hand
a thing I
behind
used to
your
do with
back.
my tongue or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but he got that right down. As soon as you did that, I went, oh, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
He's a
amazing.
good director too. He started directing,
Mm-hmm.
and he
He
produced a
directed
couple
several
of shows.
episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
He was a model, so everybody thought, and because he's so pretty, everybody thought he was dumb.
Right.
No, not everybody, but a
Well,
lot of people. I
yeah.
remember he did some interviews for the press in the beginning when he was just starting out, and he stopped doing it, and it's because they were not, they put him down because of what I just said. People used to feel that way about Lee Remick because she was so pretty. You figure, oh, she can't be that good. She's so pretty, but she was a wonderful actor. I got to be good friends with Lee. We did a TV movie, a miniseries together called Murder, Money, and Madness. We both got nominated for Emmys, and we both lost together. And she was terrific. She was a terrific woman. Boy, she died at 55. She got cancer.
Wow.
That was sad.
We lost so many great people along the years.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think another thing that I loved about Lionel in season 5, you started doing being an emissary for Jor-El, and you started to do the role with a kind of a British accent. Do you remember that?
Oh, I had to be him. Yes. This,
Did they tell you to
it
do
was
that?
so long ago that I don't remember so much of it. I had to think who Jor-El was for a minute.
But did they tell you to do the British accent, or?
Well, no, I figured I did. Well, so I was already doing it, but they said, "Oh, you have to watch this," and they showed me the Brando thing. But I already figured that out.
Oh, okay.
See,
So you weren't mimicking Terrence Stamp. You were just doing Brando.
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, that's what I had in my head.
Oh, okay.
My early British accents all sounded like James Mason from A Star Is Born with Judy Garland. So, and do you know an actor named Dwight Schultz? Remember Dwight Schultz? He was
I
on
think
the
so.
A-Team. He was on the A-Team. Well, we went to college together.
Right. Well, he was great.
Yeah. I know him from Towson State Teachers College. But his British accent was like James Mason too. I wondered if he loved him from A Star Is Born or other pictures. Maryland
he
boys.
does a lot of voice work, doesn't he?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I think he does. I think he does voice work for cartoons and all.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's very talented.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was jealous of him.
And so were you. You did the Riddler.
Oh, yeah. I did.
Yeah, another iconic role.
I know. Yes. My God. See how lucky I've been?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, actually, you did two Batman roles. You did Batman and Robin as well.
Dr. Woodrow. Yes.
Woodrow. Yeah,
Evil.
with
Dr.
Uma
Woodrow.
Thurman.
Oh, Uma. She kissed me to death. You
You got
remember?
to kiss Uma.
But she couldn't get it right. We have to keep doing that kiss over and over and over and over. It was just horrible.
Oh man.
Shucks.
But
Yes.
was it hard to leave Smallville in the end, in season 7, when you got killed?
Well, what was hard about it was that one of the drivers went and told me. He said, John, how do you feel about them killing you this season?
You didn't know?
No, I didn't know. The driver told me.
That's
So,
incredible.
oh yeah, I was a little. You see, they'd go out on these searches, to search for locations and everything, and he'd be driving, and they'd be talking about it in the car. So I guess he thought I knew. So yeah, that's how I found out they were going to kill me from a
Oh,
driver. Yeah. So I was a little shocked.
oh, that
But
was.
I did suggest to Alan Miles. I said, listen, when you do kill me off or whatever, please have Lex do it, and this will push him right over the edge into his evil. So that's why he pushed me out the window. I like to think it was my doing.
They weren't considering having Lex do it.
What?
They weren't considering having Lex do it.
I have no idea what they were considering. I just came to them with that suggestion.
Oh,
I don't know if they took it or they thought that that's how they were going to kill me. But that was a couple of seasons before. I mean, I knew they were going to kill me at some point because everybody was dying. Everybody was dying, and the children were getting more and more special things that they shouldn't have had. Powers, these powers.
Yeah.
It stopped making Clark the special one. Everybody started being special. Didn't make sense to me.
And you had great scenes with Annette too, as well.
Oh, Annette and I became really good friends. Yeah, yeah. I'm still in touch with Annette big time.
She is also a great theater actress.
Oh boy, is she ever? Yeah.
She does musicals, I think, doesn't she?
Oh, she sings. Well, she's married to Michael McKean, and the two of them are two of the most musical people I know. She learned to play the mandolin. She's amazing. She can do anything, and she's a great knitter too. I only knit scarves. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you some of my knitting right now. I'm going to take you into that. Yeah, and show you. Here's a scarf I'm working on. Can you see this scarf?
I can.
Yes. And here's another one. I only make scarves because I hold the I can't hold the needles properly, so I can't do round things, with the circular needles and stuff. So that's what I do. I knit a lot of scarves and give them to friends.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, some of them have 20 of my scarves. So when I'm out of work, I do scarves. When I'm out of work or when I'm in staycation. Today is my 11th day of staycation. So I'm a little lonely, but I go out and hike the mountain and I talk to everybody, even people who don't want to talk to me. I just talk. I just need to talk to people. But I know that I've got to stay sequestered. We all do.
Of course, we have to.
We've got to stop the spread.
But we were talking about Annette, and I think one of the things that people loved about Smallville was they kind of struck gold with the casting. So many great actors that they surrounded the new kid. Yeah.
Yep.
From Schneider to you to Annette there were so many great ones there.
Yep.
In many cases better than the movies, or at least the most recent movies.
Well.
No, but
anything Emma Thompson deals with is going to be great. Emma Thompson is a great talented person. The first time I saw her was in a musical in London. Me and My Girl, with Robert Lindsay, I think his name is, and it was like she was just living on stage. Lorette Taylor. There was a actress that long gone. She was in the original Glass Menagerie, Lorette Taylor, and she used to say, when she did it, when she got it, she said, "I'm in her pants." That's how she would say. So now when I see somebody like that, I tell them, I said, yeah, you got in her pants, girl. You got in her pants. It's a big compliment. Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't asked you about Annie Hall. You were part